Welcome to the Grand Shorts, a part of the Grand Podcast. The Grand. So I'm on my way now to meet my listeners. The first meetup. I'm looking so much forward to this, and it's weird to have this kind of recording in open space, live, walking on the street, because I'm always sitting in front of a computer. And another thing, of course, is it's the first time I meet many people. I've been recording in person a couple of times, but this kind of meeting people that I've been recording with and listeners, it's not intimidating, but it's going to be a very interesting experience to finally meet in person with at least some of the people that I've been exchanging with and recording with over 3 years, because it's a 3-year period that I've been doing this. So it's of course I'm excited, and so what I will try to do during this afternoon meetup, the first one, more will come, is to get some sound bits and to get some people to share a few words. So I will have a more dynamic soundscape for the podcast universe that I'm building. So looking forward to that. My name is Niels and I'm the creator, editor and host of The Grant. The Grant is an independent podcast initiative with the ambition to dig into all corners of the EU R&D funding system on topics of interest for the full EU R&D funding community. Yesterday, Friday the 20th of June, I had the first The Grant meetup in Brussels. And how fantastic to finally meet my listeners. After 3 years in solitude in front of the computer, it was a touching moment for me to stand face to face with people who appreciates the podcast. There was even a listener coming all the way from Düsseldorf. Incredible. We discussed funding, communication projects, and of course had lots of laughs. I will release sound bites here and there from now on. Next meetup will be on the 26th of September. More information will follow about that, of course. This episode is part of my shorts format. It is episode number 2 in my research management short series. Stefanie Hafenstiller is EU Research Coordinator at 4 an der AWTH Aachen. It is the ICT Institute of the massive technical university AWTH in Aachen, Germany. Some years ago, Stefanie started to push for a strategy to attract more EU funding to the institute. But that takes some time to mature in the research world. She was stubborn and managed to convince management of the added value in a structured approach. We agreed to make a short series with focus on this process and giving tips and tricks to other research institutes who go through the same process. Here in the second episode, we zoom in on the organizational framework and the importance establishing a solid organizational base for your research management setup. You can still win a mug for the best comment, so stay tuned on LinkedIn when I push for your comments for the next month. Please enjoy. The Grand. Welcome to The Grand, the EU funding podcast. We are on a roll of a short series on how to establish a research management in your research organization. And I have Steffi with me. Hi, Steffi.
Hi, nice to be here.
I promise not to call you Steffi. Stefanie, of course. We just recorded the first episode in the batch of 3, in the first out of 6 short episodes on establishing research management in your research organization, and moving forward chronologically, so to say, or logically. So first we talked about strategy. You've just been listening to this, to that, and now we will attack the organizational framework. how you deal with that. And as an entrepreneur here, takeaways for this will give you some practical steps for organizing an efficient and cohesive research management team. So that's sort of what you can take from this short that we're going to do now on the organization. So,
Marie Latour, listener of the ground since several years, so listen to the ground.
That was a fly-in. So the first block we have here, Stefanie, who's doing what? So, of course, we're talking about the team here. How did you attack this?
Well,
to consider?
It was also again an organizational need that, I was focusing on supporting researchers when writing the proposals and making sure they have all the political aspects in place. And I was trying to get more into regulatory aspects and legal aspects, but financial is really not my turf. And we also needed someone who was there for the project duration phase, and I couldn't cover that all. I mean, it's just a task that, it's two jobs or 3 jobs, even if you add the network aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing was we made sure that we had another person on board who was taking care of more administrative stuff, a project manager, you would probably call it. That is an administrative project manager that is more responsible for all, everything that is around the administrative stuff of doing a research proposal and research management. And that was actually quite difficult because it was already defining roles very clearly and again making it head specific. So I was taking care of proposal guidance and the political content. He was taking care of administrative burdens. And we've quickly figured out, well, that's not how we want to work, because then we are not really a team in a sense of working.
It's silos.
It's silo working. So this clear role definition didn't really fit with what we want to do. And then, in operational tasks, he was also really involved in managing the national projects. So, and I was more EU. So that was the second role definition we had. Mm-hmm. And we also figured out that that's also not really working well for us. It's again silos. So we had to really work hard to break up these silos and becoming a team. Mm-hmm. And we're still working on this. And
how did you do? What kind of tools did you try to use to break it up?
Well,
did you do group work? Did you sit together, attack things together instead of sitting in each place, or what did you do?
Yeah, basically we shut ourselves into one of the rooms, stayed there the whole day, and worked on a strategic way together. And we did some case studies. So we had some proposals where we just said, listen, without any ideas on who's taking up which role, let's go in there and do the support, and let's figure out who's more comfortable with what. And we figured out that actually this collaborative aspect was coming more and more naturally. We were kind of discussing different elements of, regulatory and legal aspects. I had some knowledge more on EU topics, but also that were kind of similar to what's happening on national level. So we kind of worked organically, testing out, listen, where are our expertises? How can we do this together? And this helped so much in building a team, because he was new. I was here for a long time on my own. So we really had to figure out how we're going to work together. And that was really valuable, that we gave ourselves the space to figure out how we could become an organically good team, so to say.
So this is of course extremely important tip or advice in relation to when you need to sit, so who's going to be involved in this. You will often start out with one. If you haven't done this before, one person has been assigned, or management has realized we need someone. They also have one in the other university in town. Maybe we should have one. Then you get one, and then that person starts. And I'm talking about you, Stefanie. Starts up something, and start to work with this, and they realize the important part. You get another one in, and then so it's a little bit very pioneering, but in that process, extremely important to be creative.
Yes.
It's very creative in attacking the work tasks.
Yes,
and finding out how the energy, strength and weaknesses, so to say, of each person in this tandem. Because when you're two, it might be more. Like bigger universities have like 10, 15 and such. It seems if they're large universities, right? But it's very important that you have a complementary energy and collaboration between when you're a small team like this, 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, you have to have expertise and one person has more expertise in one field and one more in the other, or more it's more likable to the other. So you don't want to create clones or have the same people, because we are too small for that. That we have two people doing the same stuff and it's not really effective. But it's also not this silo thinking, and then also kind of figuring out, because there's a whole menu that you could choose from what you can specialize on, legal aspects, financial aspects, etc., etc. And then also kind of prioritizing what can we as a team cover, and where do we need to buy in external expertise? Where can we, down prioritize, because there are other entities, other people who can support us, and where resources we can rely on, where we don't have to do have all the expertise in our team. And that's connected to capacity building within the organization. So training the administrative staff.
Yeah, exactly.
We have, for example, also the publication management on board. We're sitting in the same office, so they're supporting us, and we are supporting them when it comes to open source, IPR management, all these things that also have an aspect in proposal writing, and we're trying to work together on that, so we don't have to all the expertise is within our team, but we know who to involve in which aspects, and in that sense have a bigger team, so to say, whenever necessary.
This, and many of you will not out there, especially if the research managers that have been in this podcast earlier, you will not, because this is exactly what many say, that the sort of building up the researchers, their capacities also in doing taking corners, taking bits, that's natural in relation to the flow when you pick up proposals in Brussels, or when you start to work on them. If you have professors that are involved in fora in Brussels, that they get another couple of bullet points on their to-do list when they are there. Maybe you dress them up a little bit when it's terms about the writing proposals, that they are stuff where they can I can actually do this table myself. I don't like stuff like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Chiara Ligori, and I'm so happy that I've joined this networking event. I invite you all to listen to the Grant podcast.
Timeline.
Yes.
That's our next block.
Yes, that was actually a big issue to get there, because we were figuring out strategy for months, and then we kind of figured out that, well, we need to get going, otherwise we just get stuck in organizational tasks. We never get the strategy implemented. And actually one of our management said, like, guys, you have been doing circles for a couple of weeks now. We need to get going, because you are still in, do I have this strategy figured out? Is everything in there? Is this the way we want to do it? Are we really sure? There are a lot of, because it's creative and it's fluent, it's not really, you're hesitant to finish it, and to get going and implementing it. So a timeline was really essential in making a clear plan and a roadmap, and we're still on it. It's really fresh still, that we have this roadmap, or this first idea of a roadmap. Kind of not figuring out every aspect. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so that was really challenging for me.
That's challenging.
And not to go with like the perfect roadmap, having everything figured out, but let's just go with the flow and still make kind of a plan and breaking it down to smaller bits. And we were actually, and there again, the commitment of the management, what we talked about in the first short format, is again very essential, because we said, listen, why we were turning in circles was because we didn't have the tools and the skills to break down the strategy to smaller bits and smaller projects that we can implement. We needed training here. And they made that possible for us very quickly. They organized us an agile project management workshop, 2 days, with a good coach, where they told us how effective project management can work also for these organizational tasks, how you can use Scrum and Kanban and hybrid methods to break down these strategic big projects into smaller bits that you can handle, and that way you can define quick wins and long-term goals. And that was really essential to get us going. That really gave us that was a milestone to that we needed to achieve in order to implement now the first projects and identify like where are the biggest pains, what do we need to change first in order to get going and to increase the acceptance, make the management happy, make ourselves happy, get the feeling that we're doing something here. And that was really helpful.
So in relation to building a timeline to get things going organizationally. So you have two legs. So say you have what you actually need to do. You need the plan, need the roadmap, and so on. But you also need to realize when you need to ask for help.
Yes.
Yeah. External input or someone who can take you in the hand. It can be using your network. If you're listening out there, don't necessarily have to be an external consultant. If management are not going to give you that, not everywhere they would hand over a cigar box of money for that. But many, for many of you, you can use your external networks to ask how others did this.
Yes, and
or specific,
that's what we did.
Not overwhelm people, of course, and take advantage of your network, but break it down in pieces. Say, with this corner, we can't really. How did you do it in your research institute? Think in help. Don't be afraid of asking.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. Yes, Neil. So you really touched upon that. So I was using the network, like long established research managers, and asked them, well, listen, how did you do it? And are we on the right path? Is considering these and these aspects. Where did you start? What are the pain points? So we kind of exchanged our views. And on the other hand, I also connected to someone who just started, but he had a completely different way of doing it. So he first established the roadmap, and the brainstorming the holistic system idea, and then figured out all the different elements. And we did it kind of the other way around. We first thought about all the different elements that need to be in research management and had difficulties to establish the roadmap. So basically we had a mutual understanding of sharing our knowledge and our not knowledge, what we're missing, and comparing and trying to make it a really good exchange of ideas and how you can go about it. Because in the end, there are a lot of people who just say like, I don't know, I don't have the solution. How should we do this? How does it fit to my organization? You can always do more, but you need to break it down to a manageable slice of cake to instead of having the whole wedding cake in front of you.
Yeah, and it's also like the technology development is helping us here, because the Chat GPT, the large language models, use them. If I'm sitting and doing a funding strategy for our organization. We're not a research organization, but I'm doing a funding strategy. So that's a task that I've been given by my director, and I'm using the chat.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. How do I use it to ask questions. So how do I do this? How do I do this? It's not the answer to everything. It's going to take you a long way for also these elements, for sure.
Yeah, and also use moral boards, with collaborative partners where you can work together on sharing your roadmaps. Like we have this shared moral board where we kind of have developed a shared roadmap on how we would approach research management to make sure that all the elements are in there, and feeding our thoughts and being creative about it, and without giving any organizational knowledge that is like confidential, but just the common aspects, like all the aspects that need to be encompassed in research management. So that really helps.
Yeah, and the canvas is always good.
Yes.
Yeah. So Google it. Okay, if you don't know it already, a canvas model, it's a very simple, tangible tool with a big piece of paper on a table with different boxes, with some words in them that where you need to run through. What about future? What about financing? What about what are we missing to be able to do this or whatever? So Google it. You'll also find models for how to do canvassing. That's recommended from here. Now, again, short format. Now I gave us a little bit leeway because we have more frame, more room here to talk than in the former one. Quick wins and long-term goals. Why did we put this at? That's because you need for the management to think it's a good idea. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's good to say, look, there's a project come through.
Yes, and for quick wins, I mean, for us, as I mentioned in the first episode, the biggest pain points were that we were making errors in administering the projects because they were administered by the researchers themselves. So that was one root cause where we said, listen, we need to erase these errors, because then we really have effective research projects, and we have a higher chance of winning research proposals if we don't make, in the implementation sections, any mistakes. And it also has big influence on how we are seen as a partner within collaborative proposals, in consortia. If we have everything ready and correct at first instance, and the coordinator doesn't have to run after or personal months, or that we forgot anything, but we have everything there. So that was a big part that we're focusing on as a quick win. The second one is to manage, like we called it, how to proposal, like to establish a modular way how to train our researchers, because it needs to be quick and easy to get them a first batch of brain input, so they can write proposals. Because, as I said, we have a lot of young researchers who are really ambitious but don't have the skills yet to write excellent proposals. So we needed to establish a self-learning module. We need to establish a workshop on how to write proposals, which is really standard. And then we needed to have effective support mechanisms when they're actually writing proposals. So these were our two quick wins that we defined for now, that we erase the mistakes and that we focus on how to write proposals to ensure, to make the research more resilient, so to say. And long-term goals then are to really look at the whole roadmap, and what I talked to you in the beginning, to really think from having the first idea to having a transfer on like a really innovative project, or that can actually become a startup and be implemented in the market.
Yeah.
So
that, and then you also have the zoom out goals, right? So
yeah,
ambitious but realistic goals. So how much, how many, raise the level of projects you win.
Yeah, of course.
Stuff like that. Management would always like to see these kind of things, yeah.
Yeah,
but also the research teams would also like to see.
but you have to be cautious about that, because there's only so much you can do about that, because of the way proposals are evaluated. You can only, kind of have the best support system in place to give you the best chances at winning, but you cannot secure that you win the proposals in the end. Because there's so many factors you can't influence in the end if you win one or not. You can write the most excellent proposal and there's still someone doesn't like the way you write and then you're out. So
and management need to understand this. Many do in the research world, but if they are not, if they are from the research, from a corner of research where they have not been following funding, and they need to be calibrated on this, need to understand the nature of this, that you cannot put this into an Excel spreadsheet and say we are in this many proposals and then we get this much funding.
One aspect which kind of feeds into that is to have a good risk management in place. So you don't build your expertise and you only hand in proposals on EU level, which with very complex and time-consuming proposals, but you have a diverse set of possibilities to gain funding, and that it's also balanced. That you're not having a wave of proposal writing because all the projects are stopping. So you need funding now. So that's like if you come into that situation, then you're already too late. But you have a continuous flow of proposal writing. So that the chances of securing a resilient and stable amount of research projects within your organization is given. And that's also one of the long-term goals, to make sure that, now in Germany, we don't have any money for research for next year. So we need to kind of look in another direction how we can secure our research funding, just to give an example. So in order to mitigate the risks that if we would only rely on national funding now, then we would have a huge problem next year. But because we had diversified the research pools, where like the money pools, we are now in a situation where we say, okay, it's not going to be comfortable, but we're going to get through it.
All right.
My name is Merete Mikkelsen, and I think you should really listen to the grant to get new ideas, hear solutions for other people, and get going with your projects. Good luck.
Let's move on to the last block of this episode. Frame for internal communication.
Yes.
And we put here transparent and inclusive communication, having everyone on board.
Yes. That goes a bit hand in hand with a part of the strategy, again, with acceptance and resources and capacities. So we chose, as I said before, to not develop this strategy just within our office and then confront our research. So this is how we're going to do it now. But we made sure that we develop something and then we get feedback, and we are open about our struggles and challenges that we face, and trying to, as we said before, we need help breaking down the projects into manageable pieces. We need a workshop on that. So this very inclusive communication at every level, that we don't have the solution to research management yet, but we need support. That really, it sounds so blunt, but it's actually essential.
No, it's that's why it always goes. That's why it always goes wrong. Because of course we have internal communication. Nah.
And it comes down to the fact that if you do it that way, if you stay in your silo and you figure out everything your own, it stays in your head and becomes people knowledge. But if you take everyone on board, it becomes organizational knowledge. It becomes something that is supported by everyone in the organization. Everyone is trying to give you input and trying to improve it. And saying, listen, I struggled in that and that project with this and this aspect, but I helped myself somehow. Here's a guide on how I did it. Can you incorporate this, or can we discuss this? And could this be an aspect of how you want to do research management in the future? Can you work with that? And that's great. That's just, it makes people active and let them feel like they're part of the process of developing research management within the organization.
have you established some sort of communication channel, or using an established channel to have internal communication system, whatever, where you are using it, or how is there anything there?
Not yet, because this is a really recent development, that we presented our first ideas to the organization. But we have this in plan. So we're planning this so that through teams, our organizational teams, we have our own channel where we post new developments within the research management, or we have these updates from the organization where everyone meets in a hybrid format where we present new developments within the organization. And then we have a knowledge management system now in place that's really interactive, where people can, so you upload kind of a template and people can work themselves on improving it. So like if we give a template for how to develop a partner matrix, like which partners you need on board, and then a researcher is taking that template and working it out, and he has some feedback and things, listen, this is not ideal yet, this is not realistic to what is actually happening, this process isn't fluid, then he can directly change it within the system. And that's what I meant with this organizational knowledge, to also have not only the people being motivated about it, but also having the tools to implement it.
Yeah. There's a lot of considerations behind how you do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think so. Yeah.
Well done.
What do you think? Is it concise? Do we need anything
Very
else?
good. We are on 27 minutes.
Yeah, perfect.
So well done. So thanks, Stefanie. Now we will, and thanks for listening to this, dear listener out there. We move on to the next block, and there you will hear about the networking in research management. So bye, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Grant. Want to win the mug? Well, find this post in my personal LinkedIn profile or the Grant LinkedIn site, share your thoughts, throw a question, or give us feedback. All the Grant episodes have their own site on the Grant website. You will find the link to the episode site where you listen to your podcast. On the site for this episode, you'll find a link to Stefanie's personal LinkedIn site and to 4WTH Aachen. Further, there'll be a link to my episodes category of the Grant Campus, where you'll find more episodes related to the research world. And of course, there will be a link also to the Research Management Short Series. Next episode in the Grant Shorts will be released 21st of July, with the next recording in the Research Management Short Series on the importance of networking in research management. You can look forward to that.
I'm Alessandro Provaggi. Listen to the Grant.
Thank you. The Grant.